Welcome to the Epic Gaming Night podcast. I'm your host, Roy, and with me today is Courtney.
Hi.
And Matt.
I'm back. Hello.
Matt is back. And Kent will be joining us at some point during this, I think.
Yeah.
We had a string of illness going on around in the podcast. Rob and Adam aren't feeling too good. And then Ruthie is not here because she had a 12-hour shift at work. So
That's so fun.
you know how work is. But we do have Matt. Yes.
Yeah. We got Matt because Matt quit his job because fuck working. I'm tired of it.
Hey, but now you have time to
Wow.
play all of the board games.
I know, and it leads into our topic pretty well. So that'll be
That's very
that's
true.
great when we talk about it. But yeah,
Yeah, we're going to be talking a little bit about New Year's resolutions. We're also going to be covering the top 3 games from people didn't. Matt, did you get your top 3 together? I didn't even look. You're like
yes, but I
roughly-
haven't actually put it in anything.
Okay, that works. Hey, we can just talk about
You
that
can
as
just
well.
read it off. It's fine.
But before we get into too much of that stuff, we do have a few news things. I do want to say first, how you guys doing? Anything crazy going on?
Not much. We had flu, 2 weeks ago, and
Ugh.
we're just still getting over that, and all the holiday stuff. So it's kind of feels like
It's-
things are getting back to normal. I think finally.
It's definitely a busy time of the year and not necessarily a great time of the year to be not feeling the best.
Yeah.
But
So.
Yeah.
it's probably when it strikes people the most because everybody's rushing, doing so much and not taking time to rest as much as they should, I guess, probably. So,
Oh, for sure. I think that's definitely it. Everybody's up doing stuff, so you're not actually taking the time that you need.
and meeting up with family members, and family members carry illness. So, no, I'm just kidding.
We just blame it on the kids because they go to school and they're around tons of other kids, and
Yeah.
kids love to share germs. So
Yeah.
That is true. But I guess we can go ahead and get into our news topics here. The first one here, how do you say this? It's from designer Klaus Jürgen, and it's published by Mitspiel. Is a 3 to 4 player cooperative game that is 45 minutes. This is a Lord of the Rings themed game, which how do I say this?
Der Ring Treader. I have no idea. I'm not.
Yeah, it looks like the Lord of the Rings. Maybe the Ring Bearer
yeah.
is maybe what
That's
it's
right.
saying.
It's in German, yeah.
It's
So
in
that's why we're having
German?
a hard time saying it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's
Yeah.
from the same guy that did Carcassonne.
Yes, that's awesome. But yeah, a ring to enslave them and to find them all in the darkness, to drift the dark, to bind forever. That seems like that's translated from German.
Yeah.
In the darkness, bind them. But yeah, you're going across different landscape tiles, starting in the Shire and fleeing from the constant threat of Black Riders and Nazgul. The players start the game as the ring bearer, wearing an actual ring. It comes with a ring. Wait, you're wearing the ring? Did they not actually read the book? You're supposed to You're not.
Well,
I mean,
wearing it, maybe not
Maybe
around
on a
your
necklace.
finger.
Maybe not around your finger. You're not supposed to wear the ring. No, I'm kidding. But the game is played cooperatively, and the cards in your hand are being partly visible to yourself and partly visible to the other players. So a little bit of Hanabi-ish sort of thing. And the other players can play the cards from your hand. So that's kind of interesting. And Sauron's power will strengthen, and the Black Riders will chase you. And you lose if the fifth card of Sauron is placed in front of the ring bearer. They fall under a dark power and become Sauron's assistant. But yeah. It's interesting. So I'm definitely interested to see. I know Carcassonne is very much one of those quintessential Euro games, but I played a ton of Carcassonne way back in the day. I really enjoyed the cooperative Carcassonne. So I'm actually super interested to see how this cooperative game from the same designer plays.
Yeah. Yeah, I love Carcassonne as well. So
And I always say Lord of the Rings is my favorite IP as far as like anything goes. Like I grew up like insanely obsessed with Lord of the Rings, even way before the movies. Like I love the cartoons and the books. So I'm all about it. So we shall see.
Yeah.
Matt, are you going to be the ring bearer or
I mean,
the ring tracker? I don't know how to say it.
Sure. I'll give it a go. I don't know. It definitely looks interesting. I think a 45-minute playtime for a game where you're doing cooperative stuff, just trying to get through something, is always pretty good. I feel like most cooperative games that I have are like long.
I wonder how much the theme will come through with it seeming like it's mostly going to be like playing cards and things like that. I wonder if it'll have more of like a crew / Hanabi vibe than like something that feels super thematic. But I still, even with pasted on Lord of the Rings theme, I still would enjoy it.
yeah.
So just because I like that theme. Next game is how do you say this one?
Oh, Marie.
This is in the footsteps of Marie Curie.
Marie Curie, yeah.
Yeah. This is coming 2014 by publisher Sorry We're French.
I love this publisher.
Yeah. But
I didn't put this one up there because we really liked In the Footsteps of Darwin. Which is a really good family weight game. So
a lot of people
be...
had that as one of the best games of the year this past year. Yeah. So I know it's cool to see what this publisher is coming out with next in the same sort of line.
And this one sounds like completely different. It's got a cube tower and production and cards and stuff. So it seems like it's going to be very different from the like kind of tiled place stuff. Or it wasn't tile placement, I guess, but you were picking tiles and stuff in the other one. But
it is cool to have these like
different.
Scientific themed games, like Euro style games, and then with like all the different, I don't know, they always add in the flavor and the theme through that, you know. Which is kind of cool. But yeah, resource distribution with uranium and plutonium is done through a cube tower. Yeah, that would be crazy to see. But yeah.
I mean, I'm a sucker for anything that's like super random and tactile.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
Hey, but the game ends when the player reaches the end of their timeline, or Marie Curie's timeline. So you're like basically living through her life. That's kind of cool.
I think it's sort of like a race type game. I think you're racing to the end. So.
Oh, nice. Yeah. That'll be cool. Well, I know a lot of people will be excited about that one. The next one is Unmatched: The Witcher. So they have announced that there is looks like 2 new sets coming for Unmatched: Steel and Silver and Realms Fall. Yeah, Realms Fall. And then each set is going to have 3 playable characters, so very much like the Marvel sets, and 2 battlefields in them. But yeah, so if you are excited about The Witcher and Unmatched, you can toss a coin to Restoration Games, you know.
That's nice.
But
nice.
This might actually get me to play Unmatched because I love The Witcher. So.
Oh, really? I don't know the IP super well. So you played a lot of the video games, or?
I've only played the third one, The Wild Hunt, which I've heard is the best one. I'm waiting for they're redoing the first and the second, so I was going to go back and play the first and the second, but I was like, I'm going to wait till they redo it because I'm hoping they're going to make it better. But then I've read all the books and they're so good. And
oh, that's awesome. So which characters are you hoping they have in here? They said there's been 2 announced so far.
I mean, I think they're going to probably put Geralt and Ciri, I think, are the ones that have been announced. But
yes.
I'm sure they'll probably put some of the dwarfs and probably Yennefer, I would guess, too, and maybe some other witches like Triss or something, you know. I think somebody said something about Dandelion, but I was like, he doesn't really fight, so I don't really see how they would put him into the show. That's Jaskier in the movies. I mean, the TV show, if you're watching that. But, yeah, I don't know what kind of characters they're going to put. Or, I'm guessing they're maybe they put the Wild Hunt in there. I don't know. For the bad guys or.
And I think this is regular core Unmatched, like it's all just head to head. So it doesn't look like there's going to be any of the adventures type stuff where it's cooperative. But you could still take these guys and face them off against the Mothman if you wanted to.
Yeah, that would be fun. That's what I'm probably going to do.
Or aliens.
That is the large theory of the video game, is that when Ciri is jumping through different portals and stuff, she ends up in like different realms. And I mean, even in the book, there's some references to like modern day stuff, but a lot of people were like, "Yeah, she's gonna jump into Cyberpunk 2077." It's great.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not too far out of the realm of possibility.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. But yeah, always excited for more Unmatched. One of my favorite games ever. But yeah, the next one here is Zombie Sniper. So yeah, this is published by Tape Games. Zombie Sniper is a hidden roles team-based game for 2 to 5 players. It takes 15 minutes to play. So
Okay.
so super fast hidden roles game. With a crowd of dead people approach in the fog, you have only 5 bullets to protect yourself. Will the zombies or the humans survive? So this reminds me a little bit of Ruth was actually asking me if what game this was. I was explaining it to her, and she said she really wanted to play Crossfire. This is like a 3-minute long hidden roles game. But yeah, I wonder how Zombie Sniper plays compared to that sort of thing. If advancing zombie reaches the final line, the zombie side will win. If the sniper can defeat 3 zombies before then the sniper wins. Unfortunately, someone among the crowd might be on the side of the zombies. So as a sniper, you need to think carefully about whose opinion you should listen to before acting. Nice.
Yeah, I think Kent put this one on there. I was interested in this one because he said it was going to be a lot more. It's more about like, talking to each other and like, trying to figure out who's who versus, when we play Human Punishment, it's more about like the cards and like all the craziness stuff that can happen. All their social deduction game we love, but this one was more, it's more.
It almost reminds me of like how they're talking about how there's snipers trying to get a specific zombie or something like that, like, and the zombies hiding among it. There's what's that, like Spy Party or something like that, where one game called where you have this
Party is a 2-player PC game where one person's the sniper, and the other person's trying to do secret objectives while blending in with a huge crowd of AI.
That
game's a blast. This seems definitely a lot like that. Also, it reminds me of the final scene from Last Train to Busan, the Korean zombie movie from a couple of years back.
Did a human have to pretend to be like a zombie in that or something? Or
yeah, he was like moving through a tunnel and he was just kind of shambling, and then there's a sniper at the military base at the end where he's trying to get to, and he's just like, I don't know if this is and it just, the whole end of it is like a tension where you're just looking through the scope and it's just like, I don't know if this is a person or not. It doesn't seem like a person because the whole movie he's just been getting destroyed. So by the time he gets to the finish line, he's just like, oh god.
Oh yeah, it sounds a lot like that.
Yeah. No, this looks great.
And it's kind of cool that they're doing all the whole tape thing for their, like, that's their whole thing, is that all their things are inside tape cases basically, so super small games.
That's what I was curious about, because based on the picture, I was like, this does look like it's just a cassette tape.
Yeah, that's I think their whole thing is like they make games that fit inside cassette tapes. God. So like Oink with small games, this is even smaller. So yeah, it really like pushes the envelope for like tiny games. Speaking of tiny games, segue, Tiny Epic Game of Thrones is a new Tiny Epic game coming from Gamelin Games. It'll be interesting to see what they do with the Game of Thrones IP. I was talking about this in Board Game Breakfast on the Dice Tower this morning, just about how it's kind of interesting because like Game of Thrones was such a hot IP back in the day. It's like one of the few IPs that I've seen just drop. Like nobody talks about Game of Thrones. Like it was like the pinnacle of entertainment for a while, and then that last season everybody just kind of fell off of it. But the board games are still amazing for Game of Thrones, and I mean, honestly, I think if you went back and watched a lot of the show, it would still hold up a lot, even though so much of it's so annoying. But it's good stuff. But it'll be interesting to see what Gamelin Games, because I know they're a huge fan of this IP, and see what Scott Alms and the rest of the team there comes up with. I really love Game of Thrones, the board game, and Rob, it's one of his favorite games of all time, so it'll be cool to see what they do with it.
Mm-hmm.
And we shall see if winter is coming or not. That sort of thing.
Yeah, I wonder if it's gonna be like co-op or like
I think it's competitive because I
competitive
was
or
I was yeah I was looking through the different stuff, and it has like take that and different things like that in the game. So it has. Let me see if I can see, because I was looking at the mechanisms. It's the mechanisms are action event, advantage tokens, alliances, area majority influence. So it's going to be like an area movement. So it's going to have area control elements in it, which is interesting because I guess there's a little bit of area control in some of the Tiny Epic games, but the one that has it the most is like Kingdoms. So I wonder how similar this will be to Tiny Epic Kingdoms sort of thing. But it does have bluffing in it, which Tiny Epic Kingdoms has bluffing too. But yeah, honestly, if this was very similar to Tiny Epic Kingdoms, that would be really cool. But I don't know how close it is to that. This is probably going to be different than that because they could do a lot of things with that, because Tiny Epic Kingdoms doesn't have the same sort of subterfuge that Game of Thrones IP kind of demands, you know?
Mm-hmm.
There needs to be more backstabbing.
Yeah.
But yeah, looks like good stuff. Okay, well, I guess we can go ahead and get into games we've been playing. Would anyone like to go first? I guess we can make Matt talk. Matt, talk about this awesome game.
Oh man, so I haven't really played a whole lot of stuff. The most recent thing I played was TI4.
I heard about this game. I heard one guy took his turns really fast.
Man, let me tell you. I knew Rob was going to say something about that. It was honestly the best part of that was the guy took a 30-minute turn because he was playing. I want to say it was like the
Yisrael tribe. Yeah, he's definitely playing them because he could discard action cards to prolong his turns, and that's like that's the least thing you want for someone who has AP-ish tendencies, is for them to be able to take longer turns.
Absolutely, man.
And it was like, do I have to make a decision now? I'll just never make a decision.
It was like he had such a broken setup, I feel like, because he had like 30 or 40 like action cards in his hand, so he could just keep discarding to delay. He had all of the good cards, and then he had, I think it is maybe one of the technologies that's specific to that species that's like, as long as he hasn't passed, you can't play any action cards against him in combat or anything like that.
That's
at all.
Crazy.
And it's just like, okay, well, what am I supposed to do? And it's just like, you just get screwed, I guess. And so it was just hilarious. He just took like a 30-minute long turn, and he was like, if I do this and I do this and I roll right and everything goes well, I'll win. And then it was just like, it came down to the end, and then Rob was just like, oh yeah, but since you attacked me, you lose a point. He was just like, no! And it was, oh my God, it was so funny. It was so funny.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Oh man.
Support for the throne.
Yeah, and then somebody else just was like, anyway, I'm going to score 2 points this turn, so it didn't really matter at all. But I didn't want to stop you. I just wanted you to have a good time, and it was just, oh man, quite delightful. I had not played Twilight Imperium in a while.
Yeah.
So the entire first round, like, I went into this thinking, like, maybe there'll be a bit of a rules refresher. Like, every time I've played with you, Roy, it's just been like, okay, so really briefly, here's how the turns go. You know, you do this, you do that. Yeah. All right, let's get into it. We'll figure it out. And this was just, let's start playing. And so I'm just like, let me just watch what everybody else is doing so that I can figure out what it is that I can do. And then eventually by, like, round 3, I was like, okay, I think I understand how this game works.
Oh, dag.
So
that's rough.
I didn't do too bad. I tied last place with 3 other people, so that's not terrible.
So they for real didn't give you a rules refresh, or like did they just assume you knew how to play?
Yeah, well, I think that group plays pretty regularly. They try to get it in a couple of times a year, so they're all pretty familiar with it. The big thing for me was I hadn't played with the expansion.
Yeah, it adds like the exploration in there and all new aliens and stuff. Yeah.
And then, I don't know. I tried to spec to do combat, and nobody fought me until the very end. And then, I don't know, man.
I love Twilight Imperium in so many ways, but one of the things that always makes me sad is how much work you do to build up ships and then never use them. And like, I never ever got to use my ships that I spent literally hours upon hours upon hours making, and like teching them out and being like, okay, I'm gonna get these ships, and oh man, I got War Sons, I got this. Like, it's like, but it's like so harmful if you attack someone and lose a bunch of stuff. If you have to make sure the battle is lopsided in your favor, or else like, you know, you're gonna just blow each other up, you know?
Yeah, it is absolutely insane. There was a couple of times where people got into skirmishes, and then because
neither of them won,
were just so wrecked. Yeah. And it was just like somebody else would just go, cool, I'm just going to move my whole unit in here and everything's fine. And it's just like, cool, sweet, I guess.
I saw someone describe it as like a Cold War 4X game, you know, where you just literally build up troops and just sit there and build up troops and sit there. And I feel the same way. I mean, if you're not going to get a point out of combat, you need to not like get in it, because I've seen so many players just clash and then take each other out of the game. You know, it's like all the other players are like, oh, look, they just destroyed each other's armies. That's cute. Let's take their stuff, you know, and it happens all the time. But that being said, there's no other game like it, you know?
No, it's definitely an experience. But what an experience of just 6 to 7 hours of, I mean, like you said,
Courtney, have you played Twilight Imperium yet?
No, and I don't think I ever will.
It's so like
I don't even there, like, I think when we were first getting into board games, I was like, oh yeah, I could maybe try it one time. The longer we've done this, the more I just don't like spending, like, I just don't like long games anymore. Like, I'd rather play like 2 really good short games than 1 long one. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I definitely feel that, because it's like certain games, even Twilight Imperium suffers from this, where you like get to the end of the game and you're like, I've been using so much of my brain that when I get done, I'm just like, I'm not I'm not playing anything. You could invite me to a game of tic-tac-toe right now and I'd be like, I'm not this is not happening.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, part of the reasons why I started this podcast was to champion like the long games and how they're worth it and stuff like that. And I still kind of believe that in a lot of ways, but the more I have other responsibilities in life, the harder it is to justify.
Oh, for sure.
Know? But now
still, I can totally get into like longer games if they have like a story, like if it's a campaign or something like that. I can totally get into it if I feel like that we're progressing in some way. But like, if it's just like a turn after turn, like, you know, because Kent really likes some of these heavier Euro games, and it's just like, okay. I did 4 hours of this, and you know, I maybe did a couple of cool different turns, but then that it's over and I lost or I won, or okay, let's go on to the next thing. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, I think that's definitely it. Is like you want to walk away from a game and be able to like tell a story about it and be like, this was a thing that I did and this affected this, and then this was a cool event that happened. And not too many long games have that ability, I feel like.
Yeah.
Most of the time, they're just long. And you go, yeah, man, I had a turn where I got 3 cubes once. It was great.
Twilight Imperium always feels like it's so much faster than it actually is to me. I guess because I'm so engaged with it the entire time. I'm like, oh, that feels like it was only 4 hours, but it was definitely like 7 or 8. Yeah, it was definitely the entire day. But I definitely, my brain, like you said, Matt, feels it after I'm done. Like, holy smokes. You know?
Oh, yeah.
Because like half of it is trying to play the other players as well, you know, which is hard to do.
Oh yeah, and I mean, and like that was another thing, was like in the game that we had played, it was very specifically just like I was on one half of the map, and so I was concerned about the guy who took the really long turn, and then I was concerned about another guy who was to my right, but he pretty much immediately got curb stomped, and so I didn't really have to worry about him too much. But like it definitely, it's like a Cold War game where it's like really slow pacing. You're trying to figure out what's going on with people, and then, you know, sometimes it pays off in really beautiful ways, and then sometimes you're just like, wow, man, I just spent 6 hours sitting here.
Oh dang. Yeah. And it's a very group dependent game as well, you know. You want to have the right people in it. So
oh yeah.
But yeah, well, I guess we can go on to, I guess I'll talk about what I've been playing then. So I switch to that next. Cool. I got a chance to play a few games over the holiday. First, I went up to Virginia, Martinsville, and played with my dad and Scotty. We actually played Destinies, which is a story game, and it's a little bit longer of a game sometimes, but it's mostly played at 3 players. And Destinies is such a cool game because it's like kind of competitive Mansions of Madness almost. Like each player has different quests they're trying to go after, different goals, and the other player, and you share one quest with one player, so you're both competing after the same quest, and then you're both competing after the other quest with the other player, but you don't know which player is going after what. And so the other players are doing things, and you have to listen to the story that's being told to them, because it might pertain to your part of the quest. It'll be like, oh, find this thing. It's like, oh, he said it was there? Well, I should try to go there and get them there before them, because that's what they're trying to do. So it becomes this little race of like trying to figure out where to go in these different stories and uncover different things. But yeah, and it has tiles that you're exploring as the game goes along. It also has QR codes that you can scan. One of the memorable parts in the game was like, I went up to a tree and like there was this little girl like that said she had like a pet crow that flies and like catches shiny things and puts them in its nest. And I could try to climb the tree, and it's like, oh, you can scan a QR code. I'm like, well, there was a rope back at the market that I'm sure would help me climb the tree much easier, but I don't have the rope right now, and I'm not walking back to the market, but I do have a horse. So I'm going to try to use this horse to climb the tree. So I scanned the horse, and the app knew that I'd scanned the horse, and it's like, oh, you stand up on the back of the saddle and try to reach up into the nest. And it's just the fact that like the game could utilize the item that I was scanning and like, or the possession I was scanning and actually integrate it into the story was super cool. And then I failed my check, and then I had to climb up on my horse again to try to do it the next round. But I also really love the it's basically just super simple, like skill check rolls, just kind of like Mansions of Madness has that sort of thing. But I love the way that there's these little discs that you use for the skill checks, and you're kind of like moving them to lower and lower numbers. And when you roll the dice, you get a certain value on those dice, and for the number of discs you have at that number or below, that's how many successes you get. So you can kind of like upgrade your character's stats as the game goes along. And a lot of the items help you upgrade and manipulate those skill check rolls, so you can kind of mitigate the luck in a lot of ways. You also have these kind of like I don't know, I guess effort dice almost, that you can kind of you can roll these extra effort dice to kind of like get more numbers or extra bonuses on your roll for that skill, but you have to try to figure out which ones you're going to roll them with. It's like, oh, I'm going to use an extra die with this one, but this is a really big challenge. I'm going to roll 3 extra dice with that one, but then they're expended afterwards and you slowly have to build them back up. So it just makes these interesting ways to mitigate those skill check rolls. And my dad and son had a blast with it. This game is rated 14 plus, and it was like, there were scary moments and all these different things. So my son, who just turned 11, was just kind of like, oh my goodness, but he still really had a blast with it. It's like, we're trying to stop the like cultic ritual of like, of this werewolf trying to take over a village. And like, he's like, why are we trying to stab this thing to death? There's blood and gore everywhere, but it's story. We're just reading the story, but he still had a lot of fun with it. And my dad was like, man, that was really good. But yeah, it was just a lot of fun. I think Destinies is a great game, and it was my favorite game the year it came out, and it still stands a test of time for me. I just really love it. So everyone I brought it out with has had a blast with it.
Yeah, it's good.
I was going to say, man, I've heard a lot about it, but like this is the first time I've actually heard somebody describe how it plays, and it sounds like a fun mix of like King's Quest and like
it is. That's what I told my dad. I was like, Dad, it's like King's Quest. It's like you find this item and you try to put it in this thing, or it's like, oh, go here. You heard this person say this thing. It's vague like clues, and you have to go over there and do the thing that they said. But it's lots and lots of narration and lots of reading, but it's really just about uncovering the story. And it's kind of cool because you all have these different quests that you're trying to do. I don't want to spoil the story because the one we played was the first story, and that's probably the one that people will start the game with, so I don't want to spoil it too much. But it's just cool to see how each of the characters has their different motives. Like, you're both going after the same quest, you're both going after the same items, but like you're going after them for very different reasons. So it makes it kind of interesting, and how the character is a different story. I played the noble, so I was trying to like regain my honor because no one trusted me or something like that. So I had to try to be chivalrous and have honor and stuff like that.
There you go. Have they came out with other games in the same sort of like?
So they have expansions for this. So the base one is kind of like like medieval sort of, and then they have one that expands it into kind of like Middle Eastern, like deserts, or like almost Tales of the Arabian Night theme, you know. So it's more like there's jinns and stuff like that in it, and like going through the desert. But then they had a game found for it because it's Lucky Duck or whatever. It has this, but they had a game found for it, and then they had more of like the witch's hunt or whatever, which seemed more like, I don't know, like spooky, maybe like American like witch tales or something. I don't know. Yeah. I'm not fully sure. But then they also teamed up with, oh my goodness, why did my my brain just died? Who makes Final Girl? The company, the publisher. Anyway, they teamed up with another publisher to make one that's kind of like another, using the same system that has more like of a New Orleans vibe to it, with a little bit more witchcraft and stuff like that in it, or like magic stuff in it going on, called Dark Quarter, which hasn't come out yet, but I'm really excited about that one as well. But I think that one actually has a mature rating for the game, so
okay.
So we shall see.
I just feel like this would be like such a good way to implement something that's like Monty Python or like Terry Pratchett Discworld type of stuff, where it's just it can be loony and zany, but you're also doing a bunch of interesting things inside of a pre-existing world.
I would love to see more and more stuff done with like this system, because it's like so good, and I love the way that it works. And I'm so surprised because like I know a few of my coworkers really like it, but overall, like, it didn't make that big of a splash with people. I've told Rob multiple times that he needs to play this game just because of how much he loves Mansions of Madness and how much he loves story games. Mm-hmm. I think he might have got a copy of it, but this game is amazing. But it really needs to be kind of played at 3 players. And that might be what's holding it back, is like it's a 3-player game mostly. It has 2-player mode, it has solo mode, and you can play those and those are fun. But I love the fact of everybody being there to go after the different quests. Because if you play 2 players, then you guys could just do the quest that you're not both on and just ignore each other, you know, for the most part. The next thing I played is Ruthie for Christmas got me the Marvel HeroClix What If set. This is a box set that has everything you need to play HeroClix in it, which I have tons of other HeroClix already. But we played with just the stuff out of this one because of the map and stuff that you can actually play the game against each other. And it's cool. We played, and I was Party Thor and Evil Doctor Strange. And she was all these stealthy characters, which is like Black Widow and Gamora and Killmonger. Oh, I got to play the giant Captain America Iron Man suit or whatever. And this is all the stuff from the What If series, which I know there's a second season of What If that just came out, which I haven't watched, but I've heard it's amazing. And I really should watch it.
Man, I'll be honest with you. I did not even get through the first season.
Really?
Yeah, for some odd reason, Marvel stuff has just not been clicking with me. Like, I watched Loki, and I was
see what you did there, clicking with you. Hero clicking with you.
Some of the other stuff, I was just like,
Yeah, I don't think I got through the whole What If series. I think I watched a couple of them, but then I didn't finish. But I've watched every other Marvel thing.
I liked it, and I like how, I mean, mild spoiler, but they kind of like tie a lot of it together. Like in the end, is kind of cool. So I really kind of enjoyed how it did. And I don't know. I've always been a big fan of HeroClix. It's just one of those games where you actually just are going up against each other, trying to figure out how to best utilize all the powers you have and trying to like tactically outthink your opponent. But there's a lot of dice rolling, and your dice could just fail you sometimes, which is, I don't know. For some reason, I like that. I like the element of luck in games because it makes those attacks exciting. It's like, if I don't know what's going to happen, then it makes it exciting for me. You know, if it was all deterministic, it would just be like a tactical, like, almost abstract-y style game, but to me it feels exciting. It's like, oh, I try to land a punch and I miss the punch and they smack me back in the face. And it's just kind of interesting and fun for me. But yeah, we did a lot of beating each other up, and it was fun. Did you ever play HeroClix with us, Matt?
I did not.
That's crazy.
I feel like it was around.
Yeah, because I know me and Rob were playing it a little bit here and there.
Yeah, but I feel like its heyday had kind of already come and gone by the time I had started getting more so into gaming. So it was more that you just had HeroClix as display pieces around your room. Yeah. And you'd be like, man, this was a really cool game.
I feel like HeroClix is one of those games I should have pulled out the problem is I probably just didn't have any of the newer stuff. Everything I had was probably super ancient and old. But I should have pulled it out and been like, okay, everybody, let's just do a free for all, and then you guys could have all killed me and then slowly killed each other. So, and that's the way it would have gone, 100%.
Yep.
And that's the way it went every single time I played it with my other friend groups. But I still had a blast doing it, you know.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that is one of the things too, is it has player elimination in it as well. So it's kind of like you just get wrecked in the face.
Yeah.
But hey, that's snack time. You just get to go have snacks.
Yeah.
Which might be actually better than the game, depending on the snacks that week.
Oh, man.
Well, I guess we can get into Courtney's games.
Yeah, so speaking of dice rolling, we finally got to play the Fox Experiment, which I've been so excited about. It's my most anticipated game for the year.
I thought you guys had already played this.
No, well, we played it. I mean, we played it a few weeks ago, but we hadn't been on the podcast to talk about it. So,
gotcha.
Yeah, so this is Elizabeth Hargrave and Jeff Frazier. It's a game about breeding and domesticating foxes. So each round you kind of take turns. You pick, the dad, the fox, the mom fox, and then you pick basically you pick your turn order track, in which you get supplies and stuff. And so you take turns doing that, and then simultaneously after everybody's done that, you get to roll dice, which is so much fun. You're like, toward the end of it, you're rolling like 10 dice at a time, which is just so satisfying. I don't know. I like rolling tons of dice at once. But yeah, so each parent has like a set of traits or trait dice that go along with them. And so you're rolling these dice and then figuring those up, and you're creating your pup. And I thought the really cool aspect of this game was your pup that you create they go into the breeding pool for the next round. So like all the dogs that you're creating or coming up with are actually the ones that you can use for the next round. And so as the game progresses each breeding, the pups get better and better, the moms and dads get better and better because you're breeding for these certain traits, which is really like just really thematic and what you're doing with genetics. And I took a ton of genetics classes in college, so it was like, this is right up my alley. I loved it.
Oh, that's cool.
So I just loved the theme, and it was kind of neat how they kind of brought those elements. But so you're breeding for all these certain traits, and you've got these study cards that you're trying to complete by breeding for certain traits, and you get points for completing study cards. And then you're collecting tokens when you after ending each round that help you unlock upgrades on your board, which help you do, more things and stuff each round. So we had to play. There's a 2-player variant, unfortunately. So with that, there's a lot of upkeep you're having to do because it's really made for 3 or 4 players.
Yeah, because you're basically drafting the foxes each round, basically, right?
So you have to like, there's a dummy player basically where they're drafting cards as well.
Oh, gotcha.
Which Kent got really annoyed with. So I ended up just doing most of all the upkeep. And so like I said, I was having so much fun. It didn't bother me at all. And I would just basically do all the upkeep while he was doing his turns and stuff. So it wasn't that bad. But he was like, he was getting so frustrated with these. Like,
who named their fox Rat Dog?
Yeah, I was gonna ask.
That was Kent, I think. But yeah, so you get to name all the animals and stuff too, which is just kind of just a funny thing that we just come up with funny names for them. But yeah, I loved.
Wait, is the other one Rattier Dog? Yeah. Kent loves his foxes.
So I think Kent liked it. We really wanted to play it. We had like a game night with my sister and brother-in-law a few weeks ago, and we really wanted to play it with them, but we ended up playing something else. So I think he really wants to play it with like 3 or 4 people, so we can get rid of the dummy player. And I think he'll probably make up his mind whether he likes it or not after we do that. But I loved it anyway too.
So how heavy do you think the game is overall? Like,
I think,
would you be able to play it? Does it really need to be like gamers, or could you play it with more intermediate?
I don't. Yeah, he thought about playing it with his parents, which they play games with us a lot. But I was like, I don't know. I think it's too much for like light gamers.
Gotcha.
I mean, it's not that difficult, but it's got a lot of. I think
Decisions.
gamers would probably find it really, really pretty simple.
Right.
But there's like a lot of upkeep. Like there's like it's you pick you do your turns, you pick your stuff, then you do all this. Like there's a lot of simultaneous stuff.
Oh, but
which
I
makes
love
the game
simultaneous.
faster, which is great. But if you're playing with people who don't really know what they're doing, I feel like that would really slow you down because like it's like
Everybody's
we're
gonna
gonna
be
have
asking. Yeah.
yeah, how do you do this and how do you do this? And I think gamers could catch on to that stuff a lot faster. But and then there's upkeep stuff. So after everybody's done all the simultaneous stuff, then you check your score, then you do this, then you reset the board, and there's stuff you get rid of, and so that kind of stuff I guess wouldn't be hard for new people, but I think the simultaneous stuff would be a little bit confusing. But like I said, I think it's fairly simple. I mean, I don't think it's any more challenging than like Wingspan.
Gotcha.
But it's definitely, but Wingspan I think has some elements that some new people have trouble with. Like I think the whole thing going from the right to the left of the board and doing all the different card things really can, like get some people. So like I said, I don't think it's hard, but I don't know. It's definitely something for new people. I think
I love how Elizabeth Hargrave like imbues like the science aspects to all the stuff in her games.
Such a nerd. I'm such a nerd. So, but yeah, this was like so right up my alley. It was perfect. Yeah, I loved it.
It's awesome. Yeah, this is one that I really want to play. There was a copy of it floating around the like studio, like an extra copy. I was like, should I take like? It's hard for me to like. I want to play to know if it's something that like I would be able to get back to the table more. But yeah, it looks really cool. I love the dice in it too.
It has cute foxes. I mean, like every card
foxes.
is individual. They're so cute.
I need to see how much Ruthie would like the foxes. The foxes. How do you not like the foxes?
Yeah, you can't. They're so cute.
Talk to her about Rat Dog.
Exactly.
If Rat Dog is.
If she learns about the rat dog, she'll be down.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I guess before we go into our topic, we can go into top 3 type stuff. Who wants to start? We can have.
I mean, I guess I can go ahead and go. My number one. Are we going 3 to 1 or 1 to
3 to 1? Even though they're all
okay.
on the same thing.
They're on the
for
same
you,
thing.
we're gonna have to just click.
So I was trying to pick stuff that Kent didn't pick.
Because there's no way you guys could like the same games.
Yeah, well, I was just trying to make things a little different. So, okay, so they're all. Do you have the slide up there? So they're all up there. So, Arceus was probably my number 3. It was just such a simple co-op. I loved the theme of like the ancient Egypt type stuff. We have not finished the campaign, but I can't wait to get kind of into that more. But I really liked that game. It was just like I said, it was just kind of simple, and I liked the story. And then my second game was World Wonders, which fortunately we have not played our copy that we got. I played it at I guess it was Dice Tower Con. I think it was Dice Tower Con, and I love tile placement games, and I totally played this game wrong, and I like I'm ready to play it again and know the right rules for it. But I loved it when we played it. Like I said, I love tile placement games, and then. No surprise, the Fox Experiment was my number 1 because I love this game. I can't wait to play it more. And like I said, I love the theme and everything. I just love the dice rolling and stuff with this one. So
you're saying I should grab a copy of this? It's number 1.
You should try it. It's my number 1. I don't know. It's everybody's number 1, obviously, but I don't know.
It looks cool. And once again, Rat Dog. Like, how could you not?
That's what we got.
All foxes must be Rat Dog. If I learned anything from Kent, that's what I learned.
I just love the idea of being able to refer to like, yes, so your progenitor is Rat Dog, and you have Rat Dog V2 and Rat Dog V3.
You're not gonna do Junior and Junior, Rat Dog Junior,
Rat Dog the Third.
So Rat Dog the Third.
I mean,
Kent's not even here to know how much we're joking about his rat dogs.
It's gonna be delightful.
All right, Matt.
Seafall. So my top 3 aren't necessarily in any order. So good luck, Roy.
The first one is
number 3 is Rolling Heights.
Oh, dag! I clicked the wrong
Yeah.
one. I tried.
I'll do it. I'll do it that way. Yeah, I've just had a blast with Rolling Heights. I mean, I technically only played it twice, but it just has such a great table presence, and it's a pretty easy and simple game. And at the end, you really have made something that feels pretty cool. I love anytime you get done with a game and you go, look at what we did. Look at what we made. I want to take pictures of it. And this game is 100% that. Like another game that I really love that I don't talk about too often is called Tokyo Jutaku, which is just like a dexterity, like a real-time dexterity game where you're trying to build abstract architecture out of like little wooden blocks on these weird Japanese plots. And every time you get done with it, you end up with something that you go, wow, look at that. That's cool. And this is 100% that. And the game is simple. It's pretty easy to teach. It's just a good time.
John DeClaire makes so many like different style games, and like he's so like, I don't know, he's an amazing designer.
Oh yeah,
super cool dude.
I mean, that's the thing to me. Like John DeClaire, for me, originally, I always thought of him as like, you know, the guy who made Mystic Vale. So he's
right.
like he does the cards, you know, as he's the card guy,
and he does so much more, you know.
I'm just very ignorant in my designer knowledge, but yeah. Anyway, Rolling Heights, it's a good game.
Awesome,
lots of fun. Number 2 is Last Light, because it's a great game. It's solid. It's not. My thing is, I don't even really enjoy games where there's tons of conflict. Like I play TI4 just because I get to play with people, and I'm playing people. And Last Light is that, but in a sixth of the time. So you get to have a lot of fun. You get to worry about area control, do tech stuff, do all the stuff that you want to do. But it's quick, easy, streamlined. But also table presence. I mean, it looks great. And when you get done, you want to take pictures of it. So that's my thing, man. It's
the combat is interesting in it too, because there's been a lot of people that are like, oh, I don't like games with combat, but there's definitely combat in Last Light. But also the fact that the combat is asynchronous, I feel like sometimes lessens it in some weird way. It's like, well, I mean, I'm here, I might as well fight, or hey, whatever. And I've seen people who just don't fight too. Like, you don't have to fight either. I've seen people win this game without like actively fighting anyone. Plenty of times, you know, if you focus on gaining light, which is the point of the game, you can win without fighting. But, you know, it's there if people want it too, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's it. And also combat just goes so much quicker than things like Twilight Imperium or Eclipse or anything like that. And it's just
and you actually get to use your ships.
Absolutely. And then there's so many different techs and stuff to mitigate like losses a lot of times that like I've noticed that it doesn't really matter, because there's techs where you can be like, oh, the ship blew up. Cool. It just teleports back to my home base. Great.
Or ships are just ridiculously cheap. Yeah. So it's like, cool, you killed my ships. Good. Now I can build them back, you know?
Right. Absolutely. I can finally put the plastic back on the board. But yeah, it's just a good time. Plus rotating board, man. It's so good. It's so good. But yeah, I mean, I feel like we've talked about Last Light a ton.
Yeah.
But it's a great game. So you should go play it now that it's, you know, back out on GameFound again.
I'd like to have a final production copy of it at some point.
I mean, look, man, I'm sure you've got to have the connections to be able to accomplish that. You know what I mean? It's got to be achievable.
But I feel guilty when like some people in Europe don't have their copies and stuff like that. It's like, gotta make sure everybody gets their copies. Got to make sure we have enough copies to dole out any parts that are missing for this game or that game. Oh, you got a damaged thing. Well, here's your thing, you know. So, because I mean, I've played it. So, but it'd be nice to have a nice shiny one. My parents got this, and I helped them punch it while I was up there for Christmas break as well. It's still, I don't know. I liked putting everything together and being like, oh, look at this and look at that, you know. So it's just fun.
I mean, that definitely is a Christmas present. I feel like.
There you go.
Actually, touch your own game. But yeah, my number 1 is Thunder Road Vendetta. It is
so good.
Such a good game. It is abject chaos, like full all the way. I mean, it is full throttle to the max.
Yes.
Another game that has great table presence. It's just a lot of fun. It's absurd. I just love things games where random stuff happens. I mean, there's nothing wrong with playing games where I can math out by turn 5 I'm going to have this set up and then this is going to be done and that's going to be great. So, and, that's great, a lot of fun. Or we can play a game where Rob rolls 2 dice and then bounces cars into cliffs and dies. And we all just laugh at that and have a good time. And then when it happens to you, you get kind of salty. But, hey, it's part of the game. It's all in good fun.
I taught this to my dad over Christmas break as well, and we had a lot of fun with it. Like, it was one of my favorite games of the year as well.
It's so good. And it's like there's I don't even really want to say depth. It's like there's decisions that you can make that may be important. But they're never important enough to actually matter for anything. Because it is all over the place. But it's like a good time, and it doesn't make you feel bad for messing up. I feel like there's definitely some games that can, it's like, oh man, I made a mistake. That's gonna be my whole game ruined. But it's just like, okay, well, I may be out of the race, but I'm gonna wait and see what happens to that guy in front.
I do like as your cars die, because of the like bonus movement that you get with the other dice, then your other cars kind of become a little bit faster. So it's like once your car's dying, then you're even more of a threat,
Right. It's like the spirits of your friends are pushing your car along.
Yeah.
It's like
it's just so crazy. And there's so many times where it's just like you have that one round where you lose almost everything.
Absolutely.
Hey, I lost all of my cars in one round. Holy crap. I don't know. It just makes sure that's exciting. You're like, all right, I did this. Oh, he ran into a cliff. I did this. Okay, cool. That sucks. I like ran off the map or somebody blew me up. Okay. Well, my last guy. Cool. I'm just going to go on this token here and it's a ramp straight into a cliff. Cool. Great.
Yep. I think my favorite thing is like, you can have a car that like crashes out due to like somebody shooting it too much. And then it's like, it's not technically out of the race. You just have to get out and repair the car. And so you may ignore it for a while. And then your first 2 cars blow up and they're gone. And you're like, well, I guess it's time to put some new tires on this one and see what we can do.
See if we can get somewhere, get anywhere.
Yeah. And it's just, I don't know. It's such a good game. And it's, table presence, chaos. Just,
one of my favorite things in the game too is like with the expansion you have the fire and it's like the fire makes you go faster but also could just kill you.
Yep. It's so good.
It's like I'm on fire, running down the track and then you die.
Yeah, it is. Oh man, it's so good. It's so very Mad Max in that way where you just get people strapped to the front of your car and it's just like or it's like the orcs from like 40K where it's just like we painted the car red, it's gonna go faster, and it's like okay.
That's the style thing. It is. Yeah, I love Thunder Road. Such a good game.
It's incredible.
Well, we don't have Kent, so I guess we can talk about our topic of the week, which is board game resolutions. Which we can talk about Rob's first, I guess. This time of year, it's always good to come up with resolutions, and I don't know, it just seems so easy to just be like, we're gonna do board games resolutions. But Rob said his resolutions was to not buy as many games as last year, so he can buy more games than he did last year, because that's not the same amount. That's what I say.
You're right. He technically did not specify if he wanted to reduce
or maximize.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely the collection aspect of the hobby for sure.
Yeah. I can't really talk about much because instead of culling my collection, I bought another 5x5 Kallax. So
there you go.
Oh man. And that's why my camera shot angle is different, because now my games go way too far over. So. But yeah, good stuff. So do you guys have any gaming related resolutions or just resolutions in general? Is it eat more cheese in the new year, or?
I mean, we can always hope. I don't know. I feel like I'm in a similar boat to Rob, where it's just like I would like to back less games or buy less games, but I think more so for me, it's I want to be more selective in my process, just because I have so many games behind me. I haven't played like 80% of them. You know what I mean? And so hopefully with this job change, I'll definitely have more opportunities to get some of these games to the table. Me and the girlfriend have been talking about actually trying to set up a game night and do some things there. May not necessarily be that I can play all of these games just because the people that we play with aren't gamers. But maybe we can work them up there, get to some of the bigger games. But I don't know. That's definitely what I'm shooting for, is to be more discerning with my tastes instead of going, ooh, shiny thing. Mm-hmm. Ooh, look, it's a round board. Oh my God, cubes. I love tactility and things, or just buying stuff based on the artwork. but also being able to get more games to the table, because I feel like that's genuinely the only way I can justify what I have. You know, if you're not playing it, what's the point?
I mean, as long as it brings you joy, sparks joy, right?
I guess.
You can pull it out and look at it occasionally.
Look, man, here's the thing. Speaking of sparks, this room is a fire hazard, right? There's 2 computers. There's a couple of surge protectors.
And it's not like you haven't had computers catch on fire before,
Tons of cardboard. I was going to say, I did have a power supply. My computer failed one time so spectacular that sparks flew out the back. So, it's not outside the realm of possibility. But I know if my house ever burns down, the fire investigator is going to be like, "Hey, man, it seems like there was a lot going on back here." There was. But no, I went to Costco and got some totes and started packing some games into totes so that I can move them into other places, so that they weren't just stacked on the floor. Which I still have a decent amount stacked on the floor, but we'll get there eventually. But I don't know. I'd like to finish my basement out so that I'd have room to put all these out.
So many games.
I mean, everything costs money.
That is true. Even more games.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, again, part of the problem.
For me, it's really kind of part of what you said, Matt, is just I want to have more consistent game days and things like that. I'm thinking about trying to have an interesting thing of having watching the new episode of an anime like Demon Slayer. His new episodes are coming out, and having we're gonna watch Demon Slayer, but then play board games, that sort of thing. Bait them with the anime and switch it up with the board games. So but most of my friends that or mine and Ruthie's friends that enjoy watching anime stuff enjoy the board games as well. So and I would like to try more of the games that I really, really enjoy, and be able to have Ruthie try them out as well, because I have so many games on my shelf that I know that I love, that I feel like she would really enjoy as well. And being able to try them for the first time with her, I think it would be a lot of fun, playing Sleeping Gods, or even stuff like Eldritch Horror and different things. I think she would really enjoy those sort of games that I've played so much of, but she hasn't had the opportunity to try it out yet. So. Yeah,
I do think that's the great thing about being in the position that we're in, where we have people who aren't as versed in the gamosphere that we are, so we can be like, hey, I don't know if you've heard of this game Cash and Guns, or and then just introduce people to chaos and mayhem, and you can slowly work them into the things that maybe you're a bit more passionate about. But there's so many good games. I
need to get a copy of Cash and Guns again, because that would work so well with my current group. But also at the same time, it's not in the Dice Tower library, because I think Tom's like, how would it look to be in the convention hall pointing guns at each other? But also, it's in the Dice Tower West library. But
well, hey man, anything happens in Vegas,
But I don't have access to the Dice Tower West library like I do the regular Dice Tower library. So I might have to get a copy of Cash and Guns, so we can point foam guns at each other back in the day. Or just everybody can kill me every single round like they did back in the day as well. Every time I'm like, the math proves that this person is winning. Okay, Roy, whatever you say.
You're talking too much.
Exactly. Just keep your head down. Mm-hmm. That doesn't work for me, though. No. But it's still fun. But that's the reason why I love the game, because it's just so fun. Because it might be a blank. They might be bluffing. Yep. But no, it's fun. I love Cash and Guns. What about you, Courtney? What do you think as far as resolutions go? We lost audio. Are you muted on the mic?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. I was thinking I'll tell Kent if he doesn't get here in time, but mine was, I think I would like to finish a campaign.
Oh yeah.
Like we started
Any
so
single
many
campaign?
campaigns. Like just we started Arceus, we started Sleeping Gods. I mean, we started Gloomhaven. Gloomhaven, I don't think we'll get to, but I would just love to finish a campaign game and be like, okay, we crossed that off our list. We're done. We can sell it or pass it on to somebody else
Mhm.
or something. Like I would. We started My City. Some other ones. Yeah. So Osworn, is that the name of it?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I would just like to finish I love campaign games, and Kent will play like one or two games, and he's like, okay, I'm done. I want to play something else. But I get like really involved into the story, and I want to know
Yeah.
what happens. And so I hate these. I'm like, I feel like I'm on the verge of a cliffhanger the whole time. I don't ever finish. We don't ever finish the story, so I never know what happens. So I would like to finish a campaign game.
Yeah.
And
Campaign
Kent's,
games are great and terrible for that reason, you know?
Yeah,
It's like they have
exactly, yeah.
these overarching stories which can like tell, like, you can have this cool stuff that you can't have in any other kind of game, but also you never finish that story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I finished, we did, Pandemic Legacy. We did
Mhm.
season 1 and season 2, and then they came out with season 0, I guess it was.
Yeah.
And I ended up having to finish season 0 by myself because
Zero's so good.
I thought it was really good too, and Kent was like, I'm done. And so I had to play like the last 4 or 5 games by myself because I wanted to figure out I wanted to know. It was, it's a legacy game. I wanted to figure out what happened. So
Oh yeah.
but yeah, so I would like to finish that. But Kent's resolution was clearing out some of our collection and culling a little bit more because it's like you, Matt. It's like our shelves are completely full, and now our floor is getting completely
Holy
full,
smokes.
and so it makes us both kind of give us a little anxiety, like coming to this room now. It's not fun anymore, like because it's just like we can't even sit at this gaming table. We sit at this gaming table to do this, with the podcast, and that's pretty much it. We can't use
Behind
the
the
table
pod-
anymore because
Oh,
there's just
wow.
like so much stuff around, and it's just it makes us both so anxious, like looking at all these piles of games that we haven't played or have played and want to play again. And
Mm.
so I know that's like a first world problem to have. But yeah, so we'd like to kind of cull down to like the games that we really like, I guess, so we can play those. And but there's just so many good games. That's the problem,
Right.
And so many new good games keep coming out. So
I'm a big fan of going back to the old games that you really enjoy. And I think most people in the hobby just always chase after learning the new thing, especially like with the job I have. It's just always constantly new.
Oh, yeah.
And I love when I get the opportunity to show off a game that I know is really good and like play something with somebody that like, this is a blast. This is a lot of fun. Like I really enjoy showing off something that's like, oh, this is one of my favorite games. Let's get this back to the table and throw it out there. But I really want to make like a checklist of like all the games that I actually have and like try to check them all. I used to do that almost every year. When I was back in North Carolina, is try to play through all my games each year, at least once, but, it's quite a bit harder to do when like reviewing the hottest newest game is in the job description,
Yeah.
But it's still fun to always go back. And that's why having more game nights would help out with that, so.
Yeah. Kent's gotten really into Lorcana, obviously.
Mhm.
So we've been spending a lot more money on Lorcana, unfortunately, and less on board games, which I guess is somewhat good. So
I don't know.
Board
Some
games.
Lorcana cards are a bit more than board games.
I mean,
like,
he's not buying those cards that I know of, but yeah, he's getting into lots of Lorcana. So, and he plays it like nonstop, like all day.
I sorry to perpetuate things, but I did message him like an online tournament or whatever today. Like, hey, there's an online tournament. He's like, oh, maybe a timeline's up, but it's a free tournament to enter, and you win $1,000 if you win. So I mean, why not enter?
Yeah.
If he has the time.
Yeah, he's been doing a couple little tournaments around here and
that's cool.
like that. So he's been having a lot of fun. I mean, I think that just he used to play Magic so much like back in the day. I think that's just like.
That's my fear.
Bringing that love of that kind of card game and stuff.
I was
but he,
so deep into Magic back in the day, and I've always been slightly weary of like getting too much into a CCG just because I don't want to go back into that, because
Mm-hmm.
when you're in that mode, $20 on a single card doesn't seem like that bad, It's like,
Right.
I only need 4 of them. What's 20 times 4 now? No. And then things are like, oh, this is a $50 card. This is a $60 card. I need 4 of them. You know, it starts to get crazy and out of control. But you know, at least Lorcana is coming back in stock a lot more for places.
Yeah,
so.
it's a lot easier to get. I feel. I mean, it's still not easy to get, I guess, but it's easier to get.
Yeah, the first set was crazy, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So. Did you ever play Lorcana, Matt?
No. I mean, it looks interesting, but like my thing with Magic the Gathering is like I played it a lot as a kid, so I didn't really get into the competitive deck building aspects of it. I was just like, man, these monsters look really cool. And so I always liked the art, and I always liked opening packs just to go look at the you know, neat creatures on there or whatever. And so it never had that sort of competitive drive for me. Like even now, if I get on like Arena and I'm like, I'm just going to play a couple of games, like I'll play it and then I'll hit a point where I'm just like, I think I'm done with this. I think I'm just going to put this down for a bit. And then I will, and it's just fine. So like, I don't know. CCGs have just never been a huge thing for me.
Opening those packs is just so addictive. Like it's just like, I might pull an enchanted.
I've never, I don't know. I've played CCGs my entire life, but I've never, like, opening packs always felt like way too much of a gamble to me. I used to, like, I would like win tournaments and get booster packs. I would trade away those booster packs. Like I would trade away sealed packs for specific cards, and like, yeah, so I could open up something better than what I got. But what I traded for or whatever, but at least I know what I was getting, you know, instead of doing that gamble. And I would mostly just buy the cards that I need because I would just study and figure out the correct ones and buy those. But I get the appeal. I just never had the capital to do it, you know?
Man, I remember when I was real young, like in like 6th grade or something, it was like Pokemon was still the rage.
Yeah.
So like I was, you know, I didn't play the card game.
I did, but nobody did. But I did.
Yeah, I was just like, no, I'm not making a deck. I just like to look at the cool Pokemon. But then I remember one time it was like one of my family members was like, hey, if you get good grades, we'll take you to this card shop, and then you can get a card that's worth, you know, like less than $15. And I got like a holographic Butterfree, and I'm like, that's really cool. And I was like, this was a $12 card. I could have bought 4 booster packs. Exactly. I could have had so many cards.
I used to always, because I did try to play the game, you know, so I didn't care about like the foil or any of that stuff. I always trade away my foils for like the unfoil version of the card, and then like another card. But I was always very much into like what the card actually did, you know. I was always like, okay, it's this and this, and this is the stats of it, and like it's gonna do this. I remember having it, I remember being like my son's age, basically, like 11, 12, whatever, however old we were when Pokemon was big, and then like being like, oh yeah, I have this Executor deck that the more energy I put on it, the more times I get to flip a coin and the more damage I can do, and mathing all that crap out as a kid, be like, oh yeah, I can do tons of damage to you, haha, you know, like trying to build up an actual strategy with my deck, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, nobody played. I would be like, I have my deck, I'm ready to go. And people are like, you actually play? And I'm like, why is this game a fad? Everyone has Pokemon cards, but I can't find a single person to play with.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I even remember that was a thing. It was like people would have binders of them and they'd bring them to school just to trade. And it was just like, okay, what are we doing?
That's crazy. Pokemon cards have had such a resurgence, especially like with the pandemic and all the YouTubers opening them up. Like Pokemon cards are huge right now. Like especially down here, like you cannot find booster packs of Pokemon cards anywhere, almost ever.
What's crazy to me, truly crazy to me, speaking of CCGs, are like the people who are like, hey, so anyway, I bought a $35,000 sealed alpha booster box for Magic, and I'm going to open that on stream. And it's just like, huh?
Yeah.
Why? Buy a car. Do something. Why this? Oh, man.
It's crazy the value of some stuff, or the value that people put on some stuff, you know? So
it's crazy to me that Kent's been, seen pictures on the internet of like people that have like a collector case of like unopened Lorcana, like just the booster box, like it's not open. You have no idea what cards you have, but it's like they are not opening it. They're just collecting it and they're saving it. And I guess maybe they think in like 10 years it's going to be worth like a lot more than it is now. But I mean, like, okay, that's Okay, I don't know if that's a good
I
investment.
mean,
but okay.
you know, people have mountains of Magic cards like that. I mean, there's people that have like garages slap full of Magic cards like
but
that.
unopened ones?
Unopened for sure. For sure. And like they invest, like a set will come out for Magic, and if people look at the card list and they think there's really good cards in it, they will buy tons and tons and tons of it. I feel like people did that with the Lord of the Rings set.
Lord of the Rings. Well,
And they bought tons and tons and tons of it. And I bet Wizards of the Coast was hoping and praying that the ring just didn't get open for a long time. And the fact that it got open like really quick, and everybody who had tons of it was just like, well, never mind, you know, it was a gamble, you know. So but yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, CCGs are crazy.
It's
Super crazy.
They're nuts.
You know, me and Ryan were like pretty big into Magic for like the longest time, Matt, right?
Man, he keeps talking to me about cubes. He's like, "Hey, I got a cube. We can do cube."
Tell him to come down to Miami. Let's do a Roycon whatever year, 2014, and I'll play Magic with him. We can play a cube, even though cube. Well, me and him have played cube, just me and him before. So we played Magic Cube at the Dice Tower Retreat as well. So
That's great. That's nuts.
Kent's never played Magic Cube with us, has he? I don't remember if he did. He's normally playing the other games, but he's like, I'm not playing Magic anymore. It's all Lorcana or nothing.
Nah.
I mean, I wouldn't mind like getting a commander deck set up, but like at the same point, it's like, is it even worth that?
And it's so weird too, because Commander used to be like the super casual format. This is the format you go to play casual. It's not like that anymore. Like everybody's serious about Commander as well. It used to be the fun, wacky, zany format, but like,
and I feel like that's the thing that Magic does to keep on going. Is like, oh hey, sorry, hang on, whoa, is like mainline Magic too competitive for you? Check out this mode. And then all the competitive people are like, yeah, I'll take a break. And then they get there and they're like, oh man, but hang on.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, man.
It's all fun and games until your one friend spends $50 on a card and then starts beating you all. And then you have to spend $50 on a card to be able to beat him back. And that's kind of how they get their money, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah. Crazy. But yeah, well, I try to give Kent all the time in the world.
Yeah, I guess I don't know what he's doing.
Hopefully he's winning.
He better win. He better have won.
I guess. I don't know.
But awesome. But yeah, well, we are at an hour and 11 minutes too, so we're doing pretty good for time. So, but yeah, we do want to thank everyone for joining us. Game store. Hitting us up.
I just checked his locator. He's still at the game store, so he's not even
he got
on his
spied
way
on.
home.
I thought you texted him. No, he got Find Mide. You done got Find Mide, son.
No, he's got the car, so the car, it's got tracking on it. So.
Oh yeah, the just summon it so he can't get home.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I don't think you can summon from that far of a location.
No.
Okay. Good times. But yeah, thanks everybody for joining us. Let us know in the comments below what your gaming resolutions are, and how many more games you're gonna end up buying this year, and why it's not all of them. But yeah, I do want to say thank you to Matt and Courtney for coming out and being on the podcast tonight, and it's been a lot of fun. And hopefully next time we will have a full crew back with us, everyone being happy and healthy. So
yeah, I guess this is the good thing about having so many people on the podcast is we can still do it.
Oh, for sure.
We have to,
3 was the original number of people, so we're not even short for the regular number of people.
We replaced Rob with Courtney, and that's
just slightly better looking, maybe, right?
Maybe. I don't know. The Rob Handsome thing. Rob Handsome people are going to get after you, Courtney, if you say that too much.
That's true.
You just got to start in a very deep, bassy voice to start talking about wood and cologne.
Hey.
Everything will be all right.
Aw, poor Rob. We hope you feel better.
Yeah.
Awesome, guys. Well, thanks so much, everybody, for joining us, and we'll see everybody on the next one. Bye.
Have a good one.